Hey everybody, I hope you're having a fantastic weekend. Pete Butler back in the room with you today. We're in quarantine, or self-isolation. So I've got a load of time on my hands this weekend to hopefully help you guys grow your business, or estate agents. And yeah, I thought I'd come to you today, um, just before the match, I believe, about the common questions I get really from estate agents that are thinking about um, Google, Google ads and YouTube ads. So I just thought I'd bring you some common questions that we get asked, and it might be the questions that you're asking, and too afraid to ever ask. So let's get into it, shall we? So the first question really is, does it work? And the simple answer is yes, it does. Okay, Google wouldn't be the $1 billion a month business if it didn't work. And the reason why I say work versus um, any other um, way of saying it is because it gets you in front of somebody when they're actually in the moment of looking. With 3.5 billion searches every day, with 60,500 searches a month for a estate agent near me, I think it's 33,000 searches every month for how much is my house worth. If you're not showing up, if your agency doesn't show up at that point, then you're missing out on those opportunities. Now, obviously, 33,000 searches a month and 60,000 searches a month is a lot. That is UK wide. That is the recent stats. But bottom line, it works. Now, common question is as well, do I need a website? Now, really, with tools like Valpal, RightVal, MyVal, and all these little micro sites, then essentially yes and no. No, you don't need to have a full, what they call brochure website, where you've got a picture of you, the team, the dog, the you know all your 12 years worth of history and all that sort of stuff. You don't need anything like that. You just need a microsite that gives the ability for homeowner to answer a quick, get an answer to a quick question: how much is my house worth? So sending them through to RightVal or Valpal pages or anything that basically gets them a lead for you, then you don't need a website. On the other side of that, if you're asking that question, you probably aren't really an estate agent at the moment. You're probably thinking about it. Now, the sad thing is, unfortunately, with Google Ads, you do need a budget. Okay. There's only really two ways. There's the free way in Google Ads, and then there's the paid way. Paid, you can get up on top of Google in hours. Organically, on the free stuff, it does take a few months, if not a bit longer, depending on where you are and how many offices you've got and the website. Lots of technical questions getting on there. Another question I often get asked is, how much money do I need to put into Google Ads? Now, that's a bit of a side question, really, because obviously, if you're asking that, then you do need. I mean, basically, you do need about, I'd say, on average, about 100 to 200 pound a month. If you're eating beans, or you're not at the point where you can invest sort of maybe 5 grand a year, maybe 3 4 grand a year, depending on what size of business you are. More importantly, where you are as well. That's also an important point. So, for instance, if you're in a city centre, it's going to be far more competitive than where you are if you're in the country. And that sort of thing. So it all depends on your marketplace. But you do need around about the £100 to £200 per branch just to get started. If that's going to take food off the table, then don't do Google Ads. In fact, don't do any kind of marketing. Just go knocking doors, get your first set of business, get your first exchanges through. Then you're in a far better, hopefully a better position if you're charging good enough fees. Okay. Another question I get is more about the words. If I was to run Google Ads, Pete, what keywords do we go for? Now, again, you do a lot of research. Google gives you a lot of free stuff and gives you lots of tools that you can go and basically do some research, similar to what we do. We use SEMrush. SEMrush is basically a bit of software, competitor analysis, keyword research and that sort of thing. That's a paid for tool because we've got many clients. Obviously, it pays us to, invest in software that allows us to, basically take the shorter cut than somebody, maybe one branch or two branch. It doesn't make sense to spend £400 or £500 a month on software that you're not going to use that often, really. So what are the other areas of Google? Well, I often talk about YouTube and Display Network. Display Network is over 2 million websites. I think it's 2.5 million websites across the globe. Realistically, when I look at placement reports for clients of ours, they usually run on a very localized basis. So you'll find that they're on lots of like Reach PLC, which are newspapers. So the Birmingham Mail, for instance, is on the Lichfield Mercury. It's part of a Reach network. Now that used to be back in the day another network, but they've all been taken over and bought, and lots of mergers and acquisitions going on at sort of high level publications, nationwide publications, and that, as we know, that publications are a dying breed, unfortunately. And yeah, so basically YouTube is owned by Google, so you get the ability to run ads on YouTube, and obviously the Display Network, which is like websites that we all come across every day. Like I say, 2.5 million websites. Okay, now the great thing is there, I started off, basically talking about, the common questions I get asked about Google Ads is that, or I often say, what about the Display Network? If we've got a budget issue, we can use the Display Network to get in front of people that have already been to your website, maybe been to your evaluation page, and also running on YouTube ads. So getting the negotiator or getting the valuer in front of a video and talking about the local town, and obviously talking about the local home prices with an offer of, if you're interested, click the link below. It'll take you through to our valuation page and that sort of stuff. So a bit more, not just thinking about being at the top of Google is, a real quick win, because obviously people don't just buy and sell think about selling a house once. They think about it over a period of time. So obviously we've got to then follow them up over that period of time. So you've got to have that long-term sort of strategy, really. 6 to 12 months I'd look at, following someone around the internet and sort of taking them out of the muddy middle with, muddy middle is top of search, so top of the funnel. People are thinking about it. Google search is when people are actually in action. So that's the reason why I love Google, is because you're getting in front of people who are actually looking for you. So another question here I get is, how do I avoid overspending? Well, once you're up and running with Google Ads, you'll know straight away within a couple of weeks whether it's working or not. And you can turn ads on and you can turn ads off. Okay. Most likely the reason why you feel that it's not working for you is simply because you're not tracking the results. So, common every day I come across it, and I'm almost sick of saying it, but you've got to track the results. You've got to put the tracking in place. You've got to put the telephone tracking in place. You've got to put the systems behind the ads before you even go spending money. And even before that is, what is the strategy? Yes, we want a valuation, but what is the strategy to actually get that valuation when everyone else is, valuation? How can we start the conversation? So don't think about valuation, think of conversation. I'm going to coin that phrase so no one else can. I hereby declare conversation over valuation. Okay, so a bit of Peterism there for you. So look for conversations. Now the way to get into a conversation is basically by putting lead generation things together, like books and guides and that sort of stuff. So then they come to your website, they give you an email address, they give you a telephone number, you're on the phone, your negotiator's on the phone, your valuer's on the phone. How else can I help you? And let me send you out the 5 tips to ask your estate agent. Let me send you out the 10 questions that you should be asking your estate agent when you're thinking about selling your house. That all of a sudden the homeowner or that person down the road or across town is thinking that you know what you're doing. So all of a sudden they start asking you a lot more questions, and the next thing you know is, when can you come out and value my house? So anyway, I've run off on a tangent. I'm trying to keep this onto Google Ads, but Google Ads becomes successful when you think about it not just from plowing money into, you're investing money to get into someone's conversation in when they're in the moment, but then you've also got to take them out of their Facebook, take them out of Google, take them out of YouTube, and start them a real life conversation. That's what it's all about. That's where it becomes really, really powerful, is when you can get that name and telephone number and collect that data, then it becomes really, really powerful. Now, the attribution in Google, we can basically track someone from first click right through to 4th or 5th click. So it can get really complicated really, really quick. Now, I like simplicity, so we keep things really, really simple. So just go down the route of, when you're setting up a campaign, look for the short, basically make sure that your tracking's up to date, make sure it's all, the telephone numbers recorded, make sure you got all your conversion tags all set up before you even go spending money, and find other ways. And, what about using YouTube? What about using Google, Google Display Network? Not just thinking about being at the top of Google, because yes, you can be at the top of Google, but that'll probably cost you a couple of quid, like I say, 100, 150 quid a month minimum, really. You don't want to be spending 50 quid a month. If you got that, then you've got other issues. But, look at other avenues, because it can get you in front of conversations really, really quickly. So, yeah, and that's really it, really. This stuff isn't rocket science. Like I say, is it a learnable skill? Yes. And, that's what we do. We help, agents overcome these questions and sort of hopefully train you to do a better job as well. So anyway, bit of a quick rant. Hopefully you got some value out of that. Any questions about Google Ads, YouTube ads, or anything like that, and guys and girls, just drop a comment in below and I'll be here to help. All right, got nowhere to go.